Witch in Charm's Way, a cozy mystery audiobook, written and narrated by R.K. Dreaming. Part 40. I suppose in my head I had always thought that the inside of the Black Tower would be a charred and blackened ruin. But despite the charring on the outside, the inside was a pleasant and very neat living quarters. The big round room was filled with plump armchairs and bookcases and pretty little vases and statuettes and knick-knacks. It was a very cosy space that made you feel like sitting down and having a cup of tea with the residents. The thin-faced male ghost we had seen earlier was nowhere to be seen. Aside from Greedy and Wheezy, there was only one other resident in here just now. A very serious-looking old lady ghost was sitting quite stiffly upon one of the armchairs before the fireside. She did not get up to greet me and Allegra. In fact, she practically glowered at us. Wheezy floated over to her in a strange shuffling manner, as if nervous. She fluttered her hands as she made the introductions. "Young ladies, may I introduce you both to Mrs. Primrose Brimstone," she said. Greedy snorted. "Mrs. Primrose Brimstone," she repeated in a mocking tone. "She's pretty old prim to the rest of us." "Be quiet, Georgie," snapped Primrose Brimstone. Greedy looked very annoyed at having been told off in such a sharp voice, but she shut her mouth anyway and crossed her arms over her chest sulkily. Wilma continued in her wheezy voice. "And this is Esme Brimstone, our newest resident, and her cousin, Allegra Brimstone." "Very nice to meet you," Allegra and I said together. Primrose Brimstone ignored Allegra and fixed her sharp gaze on me. She looked even older than Wheezy, maybe in her 80s. She was a tall, long-boned woman who was elegant but not beautiful. Even as a ghost, I could tell that her eyes had once been dark and defined and had been her best feature. Her hair had been very white, if its current ghostly paleness was anything to go by, and was neatly tied back. Beneath her ghostly witching robes was a long dress that covered her fully from its high neck down to its long sleeves and the flowing skirt that swept the floor. "So, you've finally deigned to pay us a visit, have you?" she said in a clipped voice. Now this was the scary ghost that I had expected to find. "My apologies," I said a little stiffly. "I'm afraid your reputation preceded you, and I was a little bit anxious, I confess, about making your acquaintance." To my surprise, this brought a small smile onto her face. She nodded. "Your candour is refreshing. Most of the new owners these past couple of centuries have tried to tell us our place and what we can and can't do, as if we ghosts have not been the residents of this castle for centuries before your new current generations. Naturally, we've had to swiftly put them all in their places, but I can tell that you and we may get along somewhat better. Am I correct?" "You are," I said. "I have no intention of treading on anyone's toes." "Very well," she said with a small smile. "In that case, we shall rub along well enough." Wheezy, who had looked tortured throughout this whole exchange, issued a sigh of relief. "Oh, do stop fussing, Wheezy," said Primrose. "And where have those others got to? I had hoped to make introductions all in one go, but I suppose you'll have to meet them all another day." "Jumpy went to make tea," tattled Greedy. "Oh, do be quiet, Greedy," said Prim. "Shan't." "Primrose, would you like me to go and find them?" volunteered Wheezy. "You're just too wheezy," said Greedy quickly. "I'll go. I'll find them quicker than you will." "There will be no need for that," said Primrose. "I doubt our visitors have come to stay all day with us. You'll both have come for something quite specific, if I've read the situation correctly." She looked at me sharply, her intense gaze seeming to see a little bit too much. I swallowed hard. I was hoping you might let me take a look at the family grimoire," I asked her hesitantly. That small smile came again, one of satisfaction, as if I had said exactly what she had expected me to say. "I shall permit it," said Primrose, "and we've taken the liberty of taking a look for you and found something that you may find useful." "You won't mind if we take a look ourselves," said Allegra. "It's only just that we were after something quite specific." Primrose looked sharply at her. "I am quite aware of what it is that you're looking for," she said. "You are?" I asked, suddenly nervous. "I am," said Primrose. "You may think that we ghosts don't notice such things, but we notice a great many things. Did you think that just because Adele was too polite to say so, that she had failed to notice your affliction?" My mouth dropped open. "Oh," I said. She smiled. "Oh, indeed." I was too shocked to say anything. It was Allegra who said quickly, "I think you might have misread the situation." "We have not," snapped Primrose. "Allegra," I said quietly, giving her a look to back down. We could not lie to them. Clearly they knew what was going on. Allegra's mouth tightened. She looked determined to fight my case. "Esme is not dangerous," she insisted. "Her malady has not taken full effect. She's going to be perfectly fine. We came here looking for a cure." "That may be a great deal more difficult than you think," said Primrose. I was disappointed. "But I thought you said you had found what I needed." "I said I had found something that might help your affliction," said Primrose. "If you managed to cast the spell well, that is. I dare say that if you are true brimstones, with the powerful brimstone magic running through your veins, then you shall manage perfectly well." She rose in a stately manner from her chair. She looked like she was going to lead us somewhere, but Allegra refused to move. "Have you told anyone?" she demanded. Primrose Brimstone looked at her sharply again. "You are impertinent, my dear. In time, I'm sure you'll learn to address your elders more politely." "She's anxious on my behalf," I said quickly. I didn't want Primrose to take a dislike to Allegra. "Of course she is," said Primrose. "We Brimstones have ever been loyal to our families. I can commend her for it." "Oh, good," I said. "And as a Brimstone, I am loyal to my family. That includes the two of you," she said. "And we 7 ghosts of this tower take our duty to guard the rightful owner of this castle seriously. I cannot say that I approve of your affliction. However, I shall not reveal its details to anybody while you are of sound mind. No soul living or dead, and the same can be said of the rest of the ghosts in this tower." She looked hard at Greedy and Wheezy, who both nodded proudly. I felt a wave of relief. Thank goodness for small mercies. "Thank you," I said. Primrose nodded haughtily. "Now follow me," she said. She led us out of the circular tower room through a different door than the one we had entered by. We followed her up a few flights of a small adjoining staircase to another room some stories above. The door was shut, and she went right through it, not opening it for us. Allegra and I pushed it open ourselves. When we stepped in, I could tell by the sloping ceilings above that we had reached the very top of the tower. This room was smaller, and what was inside astonished me. The entire circular room was lined with bookcases all around. On one side of the room were glass cabinets containing a great many jars and bottles filled with ingredients. Allegra's gaze landed on them, and an intense look of curiosity came onto her face. She was itching to go and investigate. She had always loved making potions. Near the cabinets was a large and stout table. Its worktop was fully equipped, ready for any witch who wanted to get to work. But my gaze had gone to the centre of the room. Resting on an ornately carved wooden stand was an enormous old book. It was leather-bound, the pages crinkled and yellowed with age, their edges glistening with faded gold. One look at it and I was filled with sudden hope. "Hi, you've reached the end. Comment the code words, 'Find that genie!' to confuse everyone who hasn't reached this part of the story yet. And thanks for playing along."